Uh, that's just how I explained it to Wolfie the other day. When I'm on the Petantalks, I am here now. This is, this has nothing to do with muscles or, movement or so. I don't have an opponent. I never do. The only opponent that I have lives between my two ears. That is the only one that can beat me. I am here now in that circle. There are no obstacles. There are only opportunities. The opportunity is 7, 8, 9 meters out there. It is so easy. I've done it a million times. I'm fully aware of, many more words than I can fit in the 1 minute. And I only take like 10, 15 seconds to just empty my mind, to become nothing, to become one with this ball in my hand. I've had it there so many times. It feels familiar. The weight is just right. The size is just right. It just feels good. And then, I toss it up one time, and when it lands, that's how I tend to shoot then. That's how my body naturally wants to grab a ball, just poof, and there it is. The ball is light. It's gonna fly. Then I look at the target ball, and I actually look at one spot on the target ball. I look at the face of it, and I'm gonna touch that ball. I'm gonna land right on top of it. Then I close my eyes, then I exhale totally until there's nothing in me. And right at that moment, I let go.
Hola, hola a todos. Bienvenidos. Aquí somos unos cuantos. Espero que se vaya uniendo más gente. A lo largo, digo, este es un proyecto que acabamos de empezar. Queremos promover la conversación entre todos los que estamos interesados en la petanca, que amamos este deporte, que queremos promoverlo, que queremos que crezca. Nuestro primer invitado es Hans Kurz. Él es de origen alemán, pero lleva un buen tiempo ya en Sonoma, California. Ahorita Carlos Pez nos va a ayudar a moderar la conversación y a presentar y demás. Este proyecto es para todos, así que digo, esta conversación será grabada y luego la tendremos en contenido para que se pueda volver a revisar, pero aceptamos todo tipo de comentarios, participaciones, quien quiera ser parte de esto es para todos. Quizás lo iniciamos como unos cuantos. Aquí está Tlay Pulido, que también lo conocen varios de ustedes. Y bueno, creo que vamos a tratar de promover todo esto lo más que se pueda. There are some people that don't speak Spanish, so I'm gonna do like a really short introduction. This is a project, a Mexican initiative, and we're trying to promote Petanque and like to make the conversation like to get to everyone and like getting closer and like exchange experiences. So, well, we're gonna be like talking about many topics and subjects. So we're gonna start. So now I give the word to Carlos Pez. Le vamos a dar la palabra a Pez. Esta conversación va a ser en inglés. Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta, comentario o algo para hacer y lo quieren hacer en español, con gusto traduciremos como podamos, con el acento que nos salga, con las palabras que nos salgan. The same for the people speaking English. If you wanna have some word and we can translate it to Spanish if someone wants, or like one direction or the other. So, well,
hola a todos. Hello, everybody. Unfortunately, my computer is not working the camera, so I don't have an image. So I suggest, Enrique, you just start. And I think that is going to be more clear. No? But I want to say that to this media in the Facebook and YouTube channels about this sport and the way of thinking, no? Like the philosophy of the sport, that is a sport that is not so popular in Mexico. And I think that the experience and the point of view of Hans is very important to found our basics way of thinking or taking the petanque. Yeah, it's the things that I can say. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Carlos. I look forward to seeing you again. I started talking to Enrique here a couple of weeks ago, 3, 4, whatever, about this idea here. This is a beautiful idea that he has here, that the Mexican Federation, or I don't know who puts it out there, but together we grow. That is the key thing to it. And communication and cooperation, and it has to start somewhere. And this here is a beautiful idea. I applaud Enrique for what he's doing here. It's even bilingual, you know. You can't serve anybody right that way, but it more power to you. I'm happy to be part of that, and it's Petanque that brought me here. I love the sport. What can I say? I've been playing now forever, it seems. And I remember all stages in my career, and I'm more than happy to talk about all of them, you know, all aspects of petanque. I think in Mexico, you guys have a unique opportunity because you are starting out. So I have seen the bad habits. They come with good habits. Nobody can do anything about it. But there's many that you can avoid. And you can maybe take petanque to a more modern level than you know, the male alcohol French-based game, you know, that we started out 100 years. We need to move into the 22nd or the 21st century, whichever one this is right now, and you have a unique opportunity to do that. You are in the beginning stages. I think petanque is growing more popular with our help and without. It's just, I think the times are right, and it's a simple sport. It's easy to learn. We should paint our balls, our petanque balls we play with. It would make it so much easier for the novice to know which team plays, which team does not, which team has the point, which team does not. But you guys have that opportunity to do that. And I think petanque is going to grow exponentially in Mexico. Happy to be part of that. I could just keep on talking. I was a talk show host, you know, and go on about petanque especially forever. But you know, if anybody else has anything to chime in, I'm more than willing to.
I want to say something more to give a context to the people, to the group. that has been playing in Ensenada tournaments a couple times. So it's a relationship with the Mexican players. So it's very important to see the character that is Hans and also his son. No, we have to talk also about Wolfie, that is the next generation, no, of this way of capture the petanque. So to see Hans in the courts, touching the ground, teaching some persons before the games. No, I remember the two balls with the corcholata that you put the two balls one to no. So this kind of exercise and attitudes during the tournament, you grow some knowledge in our teams in that tournament. So I think that is one of the first approach with the American, to say American, but because you live in the US, to the American teams, no? The American clubs too.
I am American for
Yeah.
all. I mean, I'm an American citizen nowadays, Carlos. But see, petanque is about a brotherhood, you know. To me, petanque is almost a religious experience. And I look at those 2 coins here. It's very simple. Why am I on this earth? Ask yourself that. I'm on this earth to be happy, not to walk around and sulk and be unhappy and all this stuff. And petanque gives me this happiness. And that's how I approached the sport. That's how I passed it on to the next generation. And but I'm only a student of that. I've learned this from who came before me, and this will be true for long after I'm gone too. I've been literally all over the world. I get welcomed everywhere with open arms, and that's what I owe to petanque. That's why this is borderline religious to me. When I touch the ground, when I'm in the circle and I point, I do that here and there. This is not for naught or so. This is me thanking Mother Earth for what I'm about to do, little piece of dust that I am myself. And that's how I approach petanque. So it's, and you guys are all the same. Otherwise, nobody would be here, right?
Right.
Yeah, Hans, maybe we can like get into these things we talk about the individual and the collective experience, like, because I agree, I totally agree with this that you are saying, and I think that it's really important, like, to have an individual experience, and also like think about the team and whom are you playing, and like the moment we were talking about that on Monday, and I found it really interesting.
That's right. What we were talking about was my personal dislike of the singles game. My math doesn't start to like 8-9 balls into it, and the other thing is that in petanque is a team sport. For me to succeed, my teammate has to play good. So for me, when I play, of course, my main job is to make my teammate feel good. That way they play good, I win automatically. It's a win-win situation. The whole, that's a part of the petanque for me, you know, is how you work together with another individual, how you communicate, how you don't communicate, you know, how you find that out over time. And it's very important, you know, to not think of petanque as a single sport, of the single achievement that we do. We achieve everything as a team. The World Championship, where your team just came from, ours too, is played as a triplets, and so you know that tells you everything right there. You know, every decision that I make on a team is worth 1/3 of what actually goes on there. There is 2 other opinions on the team, and that's, that's a key to winning, understanding that. That's a key to understanding most things in life, actually. It's not just petanque, but in petanque, that's the key to success, is to understand what your team can and cannot do, and, make sure you get the best out of each player. And in order for that to happen, they got to be happy. Same like me. Everybody's the same like me, I'm not any special or so. Any fool could give this speech. Yeah. Anybody want to chime in, or should I just keep on going again? It's the individual and the collective experience. Again, I can sum it up best. Was that it came to me 10 minutes before this call here. Petanque is an experience. It is what we each have in our heart, and that's what touches the game. And, that's what makes a lot of us come back, because petanque is about brotherhood too, and we allow that. We, every club has, there, some people are more enthusiastic than others. We have some here in Sonoma too. One comes to mind, and some people find that annoying, but I do not. I find that the purest expression of joy. This is not selfish or anything like that. That's just, that man understands that very reason why he's on this earth. He threw that ball, it's right next to the cochonnet. Is there anything else? No, there's not. Sure, you got to go home and eat and that sort of stuff, but in the big picture, we all want the same, right?
Yeah. And we also were talking about the importance. Wait a second. Okay, the importance of like petanque in life. I think that it's maybe it's something like really subjective, but petanque, society, culture, like personally, I found in petanque like a community, and there are like lots of different professions and kind of people and nationalities, and I think that it's like something that petanque unites a way of thinking in life. Well, it sounds like really abstract, but we were talking about that. So maybe you can say.
I think I call it a microcosm of life, Enrique. That's what it is. Everything that happens to me in life in the big happens in petanque too. And so I think that with understanding that, it teaches me tolerance, and that's what I see in petanque a lot, the tolerance for everybody to just be himself, throw that ball in the dirt and be happy. There's not much more to it. Yes, you come from all walks of life, in petanque, it makes no difference if you're a millionaire or if you're not, if you're a banker or you're a plumber or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. That's exactly what petanque would say. Petanque does not care about what you do outside of the courts. You are at those courts, and you're there to have a good time, to enjoy yourself. And, petanque lends itself to it. Then once you're there, might as well play that game. And everything is in the simplicity of the ball, your hand, and the piece of dirt you're going to land on, or the other ball, whatever donné you pick. There's a simplicity to it. I think that's what attracts people to petanque. It's not like, I play chess too. I don't want to derogate that, but there's some complicated thought processes going on that scare people away initially. And that we don't have that problem in petanque, so to speak. We got a ball, we put it in your hand, we say, huck it out there at that little one. And that's a simplicity, I think, that unites us outside of petanque, just as a society. It doesn't get much simpler than that. So everybody's in kind of that game.
Yeah, I agree, Hans. I think one of the most awesome things about it, like you were touching on, is that you don't have to even speak the same language to play a game of petanque. If you both know how to play the game, you can play with anybody from anywhere, and you don't even have to know the languages if you know the game, which is awesome.
The language needs no math, I mean, the game needs no math or language or anything. You can just go and play. That's how it is anywhere I go. In Ensenada, the first time I went there too, I don't know anybody. I've never been in Mexico. I took the Greyhound bus all the way down there. And but I got welcomed with open arms. And what do I have to share? I have the game of Petanque to share. And I gladly and freely did that.
You instantly have a bond with the person.
Again, I didn't invent that. That was to yeah, it comes from a long time ago, Brandini, and it'll be there a long time after you're gone too. And that's the greatness of it, you know, the simplicity, and that, you know, after you get hooked on the simple part, you know, then of course you can, you know, you can elaborate in the 12 million possibilities in a match, which you know 8.5 of them, I'm certain, million. I mean, it's you know, you can make it as complicated as you want to, but you can keep it as simple as it is too. You can that's the beauty of it too, and everybody's free to do that. You know, every club has, you know, some people that do go into the millions of possibilities that go on there, and others just show up to, you know, open a bottle of wine and be social, you know, talk to what happened to you in your day to day, you know, my water main broke or God knows what, you know, but there's always something to talk about, the social aspect. And in Petanque, we welcome all. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I like what you were saying earlier too. To me, you know, I think I would venture to guess that most people that play Petanque, you know, it's for what most people would agree that it's almost entirely a mental game, and takes, you know, what takes focus and strategy. And part of that is getting into your own kind of mantra or state. You know, when people know when they play well, when they're playing at their level that they think they're accomplishing, they are in a certain state of being. There's a calmness and a confidence around that. And regardless of what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, there's a very Zen type aspect to this game that is very much, I'm kind of in the moment, right in front of me. This ball has to hit this ball, or this ball has to go next to that cochonnet, and I'm going to center myself as best as possible to make that happen. And people know that there's almost a kind of a state you got to be in.
I'm a firm believer in the be here now, and there is no better way to practice that than in that circle when you throw that ball. That's it right there, you know, be here now, so to speak. It's an ability. For me, it's almost religious when I play Petanque. Aside from the times when I bullshit, like with you guys, you know, and I just come there for the social aspect, or, you know, I want to bitch about my dog or whatever. Petanque allows us to do that. And it's, you know, for us Americans, you know, growth is non-existent. If you know, if we're honest about it, you know, with our 2,000-3,000 members, whatever we have around, you know, we got to approach that a little different too. Modernize Petanque a little bit, make it attractive for more people, and make it easier to understand. That's why I preach always play with painted balls. All teams have one color, the other team has the other color, and it makes it for the novice so much easier to understand right away. Just when they walk by the first one, or they're channel surfing on TV or wherever, you know, they walk by, they know blue is winning or red is winning. Right now, when I walk by, yeah, all of us that are talking here, we know whose ball is what, but we all know the game. When we go back to that very first day when we did not know the game, we needed somebody to come and explain to us, you know, what is going on there. We needed somebody to take us under their arm and show us this is how this is played. Whereas, you know, if you play with painted balls, you don't need anybody. You know the difference between blue and red. It's that simple, you know, whereas you don't know the difference between the match 110 and the match plus in cross stripe, you know. You cannot pick that out unless you're really there in the game.
I think maybe that's an interesting idea, centering around the ball, colors and stuff, just simplicity. But it may be one of the reasons that bocce ball is more palatable in the United States. Maybe a reason, you know, people take to it easier. It's a simpler type of
you know,
game,
green
you know?
or red. You know
Yeah.
who has the point when you
Yeah.
walk by. No, you don't need anybody. You don't need the guy with the little flag. You know who has the point, and it's just a way to grow it, and it is easier if you. It's easier to do if you have a federation that is not so long established, that does not carry the baggage, the baggage of traditionalism. Traditionalism has held us back as a sport worldwide. The sport is played mainly in French language dominated societies, Indochina, France itself, Europe, that whole area. And, the Canadians, they know how to toss a ball too. But you get to us, what do we have? Our membership, compared to population is non-existent. And, but we've been at it for 50 years. Mexico has a chance here to, grow the sport more modern, not be held back by, the traditions that, we've been victimized by.
Yeah, I want to say something, this is in Spanish.
Please do.
Si alguien quiere participar o hacer algún comentario, si necesitan también como que ayudemos un poco a traducir, nada más déjenlo saber y por aquí andamos. I totally agree, Hans, and this is something that we've been talking. It's amazing, like, to think in the concept in growth, and you have to think how to grow, right? Which are the the ways? Which is the way? And as you say, Mexico. Yeah, well, we have like, I don't know, 200 players more or less in Mexico, like in the members of the Mexican Federation, and it keeps growing. I think it's been growing like the last year a lot, and maybe these conversations are really important because we can like receive some advice in some stuff, and
it's a start.
Yeah, but I think there's something you say that I really like, that it's like we have to believe in the way Petanque is growing in Mexico, the same in the US and in other places. It's something organic. It's like a different way of growing. So we have like to be really
we have to change our mind about how we go about it. What we have done so far has not worked. That's for sure. But it's because we're holding ourselves back. We have to modernize the game. Some things will always be the same. Some things will always be traditional. We talked about how to grow Petanque. It's basically local, that you have one or two people somewhere in a place, that are interested in the sport. Now, how do they get from those 2 people to 20 or 30 people? That's, I think, 20, 30 people is a sustainable level for a club to have games going most days of the week. And that's how you then, if the game is more attractive, like I say with the painted balls, it becomes attractive to people that walk by, just by walking by and seeing it. But how do you get from those 2 people to those 20, 30 people? That is the difficult part, that involves a lot of legwork. You got to get local sponsorship going, go to the local plumber, go to the, local electrician, go to your local priest, and go to the local police department too, get them involved, get them, to sponsor your team, or, get them to donate a little of their time in trade. Bordering works very well. It's always nice to know somebody with a big truck or something like that, so you can move dirt around and establish courts. And, go out in the community, go to like the markets that you have, wherever the community gets together. Those are places where Petanque needs to be, where you need to get a truck. You need, it's about 4 yards if you're cheap, 5 yards if you can manage. That's what you need for one temporary petanque court on asphalt or concrete, whatever you got underneath there, and some wood around it, and go there where the people are and just start throwing balls. If they paint it, the better, you know, it becomes obvious to everybody right away what goes on there. And then you get into conversations. That's how you grow from 2, 3, 4, 5 people to 20, 30 people. Get in with, you know, get the mayor involved. You know, you really got, it's a lot of legwork, but it can be done. And that's how growth happens initially, you know. Then this needs to be guided by a federation in some way. That's where you guys are new, you know, you have new opportunities there. Think about this century, not back in 1906 when that old French guy invented our sport. You know, we live in 2021. What do we need to do today to grow the sport? The sport, again, with the painted balls, it almost sells itself. It's simple, as I said, you know, and it just needs exposure, and that you get on a local level. You know, it's good when you live in Mexico City, you know, maybe you can manage to get on TV there, here and there, but set those temporary courts up, 4 cubic yards and a couple of 2x4s and you're in. And, you know, buy some cheap party balls, the cheaper you can get them. You know, the other day, I didn't know what you meant by tropicalization of petanque. I was thinking about Vietnam and Laos and all those places where they play. Thailand, I know in Thailand, the poor kids, they play on the beach all day long. Does anybody even hear me? Because everything is kind of deaf here. Anyway, in Thailand, they play with plastic balls. It makes no difference what you play with. It's the sport, you know, and the simplicity of it all. It sells itself, but you gotta do local legwork.
I agree. I agree that it sells itself. I've introduced the game to a lot of people in my life. I'm not even that old in the game of petanque, and I have introduced it to a fair number of people. Seldom do the people I introduce the game to, seldom do they not like it. Most people, they're busy. Maybe they don't have time to really pick it up as a hobby or a passion. But almost all the people I bring around to show them to want to play and get into it, a lot of them stick around, even if it's just occasionally or when I'm around with them or when we can go together, what have you. Yeah. The people love it when they're introduced to it.
Then that's where we know some sort of federation to plant that seed, you know, in communities where we not, or communities where we have 1 or 2 people that I know a bunch of them, I know you do too, they got to travel for every tournament, you know. Wouldn't it be nice for those people to stay at home and play at home? They need help, you know, and they need some sort of template, you know, and then they need the will to put the leg power in too. That's the hard part always. But they need some sort of, you know, support, some guidelines on how to go about that. And they need external help then, you know, throw a tournament in some place in Tennessee or whatever, where we've never been, you know, so people get curious about that. Have like the bus tour, you know, load the bus up with a bunch of petanque players, you know, and drive them from A to B or whatever once or twice a year. Out of, you know, our budget, we ought to be able to buy a used Greyhound or some stuff like that and go expose the game to the people, to the population. That's the problem. That doesn't happen enough. You know, we live in petanque oases, you know. It doesn't get any better in life than for me, you know. I can play every day. And that's where every club wants to be. You want to be able to play every day. You want that place where, you know, you can participate in your sport. Other people do, like, what do I know, baseball or whatnot, you know. They go to baseball meetings or baseball training, you know, try to hit a ball. We do the same thing. We just we need more exposure. And to get more exposure, we need to start thinking more modern. You know, we cannot be guided no longer by the French, you know, and their requirements. They work in the French-speaking world. I applaud them for the 80 million people that they have. But of those 80 million players that we have worldwide, 78 million of them speak French. That's where the modern century, the Petanque itself knows no language, like you said. Petanque is not American or Canadian or Mexican or something like that. We all on this continent play it, but we have to go about growth a little bit different than we have in the past, because we're not a success. You can not say anything about that. We're not on TV. I mean, Brendan, I believe that you've approached 1,000 people about the sport. I swear to God, 900 of them say, "What is that?" See, those numbers need a swing. They need a swing into that 100 say, "What is that?" And 900 go, "Yes, I know." And for that, we need to think more modern. And I think our Mexican brothers have a unique opportunity to set their federation up in a more modern way, where they can grow. I think Petanque is going to grow in the next decade, whether we like it or not. I think the pandemic actually helped us a lot. Anyway, that's what I believe. And if you have a federation that is in tune with that, yeah, the sky is the limit. 1 million members or whatever. We all have seen what's it called, where you throw those damn little bags into the plywood hole 20 feet out or whatever. Wormhole. Yeah. They're on TV nowadays. Now what do they do that we don't? One difference that's obvious to me is that our sport is 150 years old. Their sport is 10 years old. So they set themselves up.
Growth is also important. Location is also helpful for growth. If you can try and get your court set up in a public area that has high traffic, younger people that have time also on their hands to pick up a hobby, make this a passion, that's key.
That's to be in the public's eye any way possible. Accept smaller courts if they're offered to you, smaller than you need, as long as they're in a better location. You can always rent an acre later on some other place. This is just, where we need to be, or what we need to strive for. This Zoom meeting here 10 years ago, this is unheard of. And look here now, we're talking from 2, maybe 3 different countries, and exchanging ideas. This is how Petanque progresses. We need to do this more often, and we need to help each other out more. We need to help each other out to grow the sport.
Yeah, Hans, you said the other day, you were talking about local management, and also like local heroes, local bulls. It's like, and the concept of tropicalization, we use it here in Mexico, tropicalización. It's like make it your own, like take it to your place, like adapt something to
Mexican bulls. Yes, this will be a good question for you to ask one day when you have hopefully the Mexican national team on the show here. They must not speak about the results. They must speak about the experience that they had there. Experience is what makes heroes too. It's hard to produce that, but this is what we need. The local. What I was referring to you, Enrique, was at the time I taught in the Boys and Girls Club, and those kids needed a hero. I have never forgotten that. They needed somebody bigger than me that I could say, oh, you can be like that, a Michael Jordan or somebody like that. And this starts in your community, where you need somebody like that inspires people. That moves them forward in a way. Those are, local heroes, and they can be the local plumber or whatever. Local bulls, we discussed that. It's been my thought for a long time, we need to instill pride in the sport. Maybe this is what our shortcoming is, that we practice a French sport. Why can't I buy American-made balls? And I feel that you guys should be able to buy Mexican-made bulls. Of course, you know, they're the only sponsors we have in life are the American, I mean, the French bull manufacturers. But it, yes, it's an idea. You know, we need to nationalize the game for us somehow. I don't know how to put that. It you involve as many as possible, you know, in your community, and you find, you know, out of that, it's again that legwork. Again, it starts with the 1-2 people. What do you have to say about that?
Okay. Hi guys. I'm Adlai. I'm a Mexican Petanque player, a friend of Enrique Marquez in this really great and emotional project. And I want to ask you something to Pez and you, Hans, because I know your first meeting in the court between Carlos Pez and you in a match. I have the information is the first match officially in a tournament of Carlos Pez was versus with you, Hans.
Oh,
and Pez was afraid to lose with you.
I lost.
and today is funny because you are experienced players. You have a lot of years playing petanque, and we are beginners. I have 2 years playing petanque, and I want to ask you something. Talking about experience, and I want to go to basics, really basics, for all of us in this group. And yes, what are the most common mistakes in the petanque? In 2 sides. Wait for this. In 2 sides. In the court, first, in the court, what are the most common mistakes? And 2, in organization.
All right. Okay. So when you say mistakes, then we're not talking about how one individual throws the ball. The most common mistakes I see on the courts are, they could be solved with one simple word: behave. It is actually the lack of respect and tolerance, the very stuff that we embody, that is that I see as, you know, beginners' mistakes, you call them. You don't know, you know, you don't walk into somebody else's game. You don't throw the cochonnet. So, you know, you have to think what is going to happen after you throw the cochonnet. You know, some people are going to shoot and that ball is going to end up, you know, 20 meters past it. Am I going to hurt any of the other games there? Those are, but etiquette, I think, that people don't think enough about that. You know, that a lot of people in our game, again, because it is so simple, it's the ball, the hand, and that spot of dirt. Some people don't get past that. You find out, you know, eventually we represent a slice of life, you know, so we get all kinds of people. Organizational wise, God, how do we make, did you hear what I just said, you know, earlier about how we have to modernize the sport?
In organization, you know, I would say not using a disciplinary tactic in organizations is important. I mean, that's in my experience anyways. In the United States, don't use discipline to help structure your organization. That would be my best key of advice I've seen is the biggest problem in organization and logistics here in the United States.
Yes, and involve as many as you can. That's the only way to get a broad consensus, is find enough. If you do organization of any kind in our sport, find enough people to help you. It is important to spread the workload, that many do a little, that produces a much better job than, you know, if you have one Albert Einstein doing all the work. Then you become reliant on one person, and you don't spread the knowledge around. You know, all those people that help you organize a tournament, the reason I want them to help me is in hopes that they will one day run a tournament of their own, and that they will have somebody that they show how it's done, and then that person will run a tournament of their own. You know, it's organizational. I don't know. I don't know.
And yes, what you say?
If I knew it, you know, I'd be in a different position. It's again, you know, you pay attention to the individual. You involve as many people as possible. That's, you know, not things that are necessary or that have necessarily been done that way. And, you know, otherwise, when people, you know, when they learn the game, you know, show some respect. That's just the same respect we show to the individual, you know, that's it should be reflected onto all of us. Yeah, those are the two biggest mistakes that I see.
Okay.
Etiquette is a big thing.
Do you hear me? ¿Me escuchan?
Yes.
Respect, you know.
I have something to say about the conversation. I want to make you a little update, Hans, because a lot of things are happening in the country. There is a few clubs, few people involved from Guadalajara, from Querétaro, from San Luis Potosí, from Mérida, and of course Ensenada. And we start like 2 years ago, we start organizing tournaments. No, each city gets involved and starts to organize these tournaments.
I watch them all.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a point that I want to tell. Also,
this is how. Sorry to interrupt, Carlos, but see, there's one thing that you guys way better than any American club that I've ever come across. All your tournaments are on Instagram Live. I don't Facebook, but I assume you guys do the same stuff on that too. That's moving into the 21st century. You guys do so much. You keep a virtual presence that's 10 times better than what we do here in the United States. And from, you know, what I see, the only ones that show up on YouTube more often, on my YouTube anyways, the French. That's exactly what you guys are doing. That's the place we got to move to. Yes. We got to reach out to people in, you know, in different media, in different ways than we have in the past. Yes. This is one beautiful way here. What we're doing here, folks, is really good for Petanque. This should be happening all the time.
I think that we have the opportunity to get a Petanque a little far from some things that happen in the old Petanque, no? Like you were talking about the alcohol, no? And for us, as in Mexico City, as a club that works in a bar, it's really difficult to get that barrier, that wall between alcohol and the game, no? That's the reason that we start jumping to the tournaments, to organize tournaments, to make it as a sport, no? So we start to get a group of players that they are interested in training, in prepare themselves for the tournaments that we are organizing. So the next question will be, what do you suggest for our trainings? How often we have to train? How we prepare physically and mentally? Because there is another issue. The Petanque becomes high level stress in the tournaments, no? Yes. So that is a moment that the player starts to drink to calm himself, and how affects the alcohol in the performance of the player, no? Because he can get calm in the first game, but in the second game he's drunk. So if you can talk about this, how to prepare for a tournament and how to prepare your mental approach for that stress.
Yes, that is hardly ever done in a bar, my friend. So yes, it's you guys are growing the wrong way around. Usually first you have the club and then you get a bar. You have it the other way around. But no, see, alcohol and petanque, you know, those two things, they go hand in hand and they don't. How let's just start, you know, preparing for a tournament. It's important that you prepare for a tournament the same way you play it. So if you like, you know, it pays attention to like not associate it's good to not associate alcohol with petanque playing in earnest. Beans, if you keep on drinking at the end of the tournament, you're going to be plowed. You're going to run into somebody like me, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So it doesn't get you anywhere. But the petanque is a mental game. It's not a physical game. You know, that's why we say, you know, 8 to 80 or whatever there's no physical strength involved. Petanque, if you want to win it, like I said in that video, the only opponent lives between my two ears. That's the only place where you fight your battles too. And how you fight that battle yourself, I cannot tell you. Every individual is different. But it pays, you know, to go to just some sort of place that has the same atmosphere as the tournament is going to have. No tournament is ever quiet. So, you know, there's no point in going and training in some place, in some real quiet nook, you know, because then you're going to get bent out of shape the first time somebody in the game next to you yells out "Karo" or whatever. You got to find the everyday situation, a tournament situation, and then what works for me nowadays. For me, in order to become good, I had to put in a couple of decades of playing every day. I don't need that anymore. The game nowadays happens up in the head. For me, where if I want to win, where I try to, I partnered up big, and two, where I start to play every day, and I do not drink alcohol because I will not drink on tournament day. If I do have a drink, it's before the final, maybe one. When I was younger, that was not how I was. However, in order to be successful, yeah, you stay away from the alcohol. You find yourself some real game time decisions, and then you work on yourself. It's always the same motion that is successful. So you need some form of muscle memory. You can get that throwing the ball. You can get it just swinging your arm too. But muscle memory, I think, takes 3, 4, 5 days for it actually to set in. You know, when you shoot, it's always the same motion. It's always the same motion. When you point, it's a little different. Everybody has a different pointing style, and then I can do 7, 8 different pointing styles myself. Whichever one works that day, that's the one I'm going to use. I have 2, 3 different styles of shooting too. Whatever works that day, that's what I'm going to use. But yeah, Carlos, your biggest opponent again is yourself in your head. How do you prep for that? For me, you know, I have a certain age. I don't let stuff get to me that much no more, with exceptions, of course.
I'm talking about this because it's becoming an issue in the petanque, international petanque. No, like I can see that the federations, they try to get separate of the relation of the alcohol. Actually, they don't accept.
This is an image problem that we have. We have been traditionally, we have been French male dominated. You get your bottle of red wine, after work you go and play petanque with other men. This is historically the image that we have. This image, we have to combat that. Yes, we have to separate ourselves from the alcohol. You're absolutely true on that. We have to start inviting our women and our children to play with us. So it becomes a family sport. Right now, we are not looked at as a family sport by a lot of people. You know, we are still, you know, this male alcohol type of thing. But yes, you stay away from the alcohol, get yourself a juice donor, you know, orange juice or some stuff like that. This is totally cool. And, you know, it's important to involve the whole family in what you're doing there, that it does not become an escape for, an escape from away from reality, however you want to put that. And yes, you not combat that you get to where we are nowadays. For instance, you guys are young still, you know, bring your whole family with you, bring your children. It works, you know, I brought mine. And yes, make it a family, make it an environment where you want to have your children around. And I think then success becomes much easier for Petanque than it is nowadays. Instead of this, you know, being driven A, by, you know, the alcohol stuff, B, by the individual achievement type of stuff, where, you know, a lot of people run around, oh, I'm so good or I'm so bad. That's not the point, but it's the I that is the problem in it. We have to get away from that. We have to get into the rethinking, and we have to make it a family sport. If we make it a family sport, we grow exponentially. And family sport is, like I said earlier, you know, you go out into the population. You go to those fiestas and stuff, and you set up your temporary court. You bring that stuff with you. Find one friend with a pickup truck and attract a cross section of the population. That's the way to grow. And so, you know, we need to go where they are. And that is not in a bar. That question solves itself right there. The world does not evolve around Veuve Clicquot. They sponsor a lot of petanque tournaments, but at the end, they're French alcohol producer. The world evolves a whole lot more about orange juice, because my wife and my children, they also drink orange juice. My grandfather, my grandmother do too. So this is, you know, where we have to move. You know, that's what I mean by that modern thinking too. You, in your particular case, yes, you have to move out of that bar. That's for sure. As long as you practice in a bar, I will win. End of story. You have to find yourself, you know, a court or two or three. I've seen it, like the Guadalajara courts. I saw them the other day on Instagram or so. A lot of them, they have some in Mexico City, I think, too. Just, you know, one or two courts. That's all you need. So you expose out to the public, so people walk by. And please, I beg you, try it. Paint your balls. Paint one set white and one set black or whatever. So the opposing, one team has all white balls and the other team has all black balls. Hi, kiddo. And try it, you know, set it up in a public area, as public as you can get. You don't need to think about later. Today is what you need to think about. And set yourself up a place to practice outside of that bar. I would love to play in a bar till midnight every day, but that's not practice. That's called entertainment. For practice, you want to be on a plaza somewhere, you know, where people walk by, where there's noise around you. It helps you with your practice, with your mental preparation, and you want that sport exposed. So yeah, move out of the bar, Carlos.
Yes,
that will help you in.
Let me tell you something. The thing is that we are so close to the Parque Pushkin when we start. So we really practice in the park, and in the bar we get the entertainment, and we also get new people to meet, no? Like we met people in the park and people in the restaurant bar, no? But I want to tell you another thing, that Querétaro, the Church of Querétaro, donate land for the Petanque Club from the Belle Blue. And they have 3 courts in Querétaro donated by the church of the neighborhood. Yeah. And another thing that I want to ask you. Can people see them? Yeah, they are on that. They make one tournament there. But I want to talk about the bulls that you paint. how is the texture? I think that everybody that we are listening about the idea of painting the bulls, we are thinking that how is the grip?
I tell you, there's a very simple answer. The grip is no different. Everybody should buy a set of La Boule Bleue, the original bull manufacturer from Marseille. They leave the factory painted blue, and the paint stays on there for what, like one tournament, you know, maybe a tournament and a half. But the grip is no different. If there is a grip difference, I have not noticed it. I solely paint them for, not for people that play petanque. Everybody knows who's also. I paint them only for the people that walk by that have never seen what I'm doing there. And they know right away. It is enough. In my case, I'm alone, unfortunately. I paint my balls, so there's painted balls, one color, and not painted balls. And my teammates paint their balls the same color like mine too. And it makes it so much easier for people that walk by. It breaks that barrier. It makes it easier for them to come to you, Carlos, and say, hey, ¿qué pasa? What are you doing here? And yeah, you need to do that in a public park. So, you know, the thing was the church. I've never seen that property. So, but if that location is downtown and everybody sees it, that is ideal location. If it is on the outskirts of town, do not stop looking for another place. You need to be closer to downtown. You need more people to see what you're doing.
There is a few projects. Also, Ensenada has that project, park. Adlai was talking with the architect. They are doing there a few courts. Querétaro. Also, San Luis Potosí is trying to get a few. I think that like 8 courts. I'm not sure about that information, but it's getting some public courts in Mexico. So, Enrique, can we go to the next question? I think that the next questions goes around the organizations of tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying like to take it there because I think we have like two kind of subjects, like the mental, like the individual experience. I don't know if everyone saw the video, the teaser that we made, like to start this project, but there's like Hans's voice in the video, and it's like something kind of dreamy stuff about the moment you get into the circle and then shoot. And well, I personally, I got that like really inspiring. And that's like one kind of, there's that kind of subjects. And we had the other one, Pes is talking about that, the organizational. I think we're like being really big enthusiasts, and we were like really happy playing petanque and organizing tournaments. But maybe, well, you guys in the States have more experience organizing tournaments, and in Mexico, I think we want like to classify those tournaments. So what's the opinion on how can you classify these tournaments? How it's is like more important?
Yes. You're talking about point number 9, the organizational. Yes, what you need is a strong parent organization. You need, again, a template as to how to run a tournament. You need some scoring system. There's a lot of them out there online nowadays. This is not a big deal, so to speak. But you need that coordinated too. You need that coordinated by your federation, you know, so everybody knows when there is a tournament where. This needs to be organized so tournaments don't overlap. And all of a sudden you have, like, you know, a tournament in Mexico City and you have one in Ensenada. How can you be in the same place, you know, 1,000 miles apart? This is where your federation gotta, you know, that's a beginning. is to set a calendar, you know, and then you rank your tournaments according to, you have local tournaments, you know, club tournaments, have one every week, I say to you. You have regional tournaments, you have like three or four a year in, you know, in each region, and you coordinate those. And then you have national tournaments. National tournaments, how many can you have? One, the singles, doubles, triples, and then the whole stuff in mixed, and that times men and women and children. You could have a lot of them, you know, but you don't want that many to begin with. You don't have the money for that. But those tournaments are, you know, they need to be coordinated by the federation. There's, you know, what we brought up is that open, you know, that concept there. The open is the unlicensed tournaments. That's what they are. Tournaments where I can show up and nobody will ask me for a license. Meaning that if I did not have one, I could still play there. This is what I believe the Ensenada, nobody ever asked me for a license there, and it's called open. Those things are, in my opinion, the road to success in our sport, but they need to be coordinated too. And again, there you need a federation. That's where it all starts with. Some parental organization. It doesn't have to be a federation. It, you know, it could be run for profit too, for all I care. But you need somebody that sets guidelines and keeps, you know, a lid on this. So a lid on this, the other word for that is keeps it organized. That's exactly what it needs. You guys are not there yet, you know, but you can get there very quick. And you, again, the organization one, how would you set that up? You know, everything has been done before. You can just take templates from other organizations. You don't have to stick to Petanque. You can pick some other sport too, you know. It's there's a certain hierarchy on how you run things and how you organize things. You know, then just sit together and translate, how does this apply to Mexico? How does this apply to me? That's the key question that needs to be asked when you establish a federation, that you do not, you know, oh, the French do it that way and they say this is the law. I do not care what they say. I do not care what the law is. I listen to the law of the land. And for you guys in particular there, how does this fit into, you know, your society? And that's, you know, you have that opportunity to do that, you know, and public media you know, you need the local heroes. You need those guys that set up those temporary courts. You need those guys that go to city meetings and say, hey, we want, you know, half an acre. We want 2 courts on the plaza or something like that. You need those people, but they're, you know, they're usually there. And then you have those 1 or 2 people. Those are the 1 or 2 people that travel, that cannot play at home because they don't have enough. Those are the people that the federation then needs to help. And you know, that's, you don't have much of a budget. That is a bit of a problem. It all comes down to sponsorship. You start making money small, you know, you keep a percentage of each tournament for your own club, 20% or whatever. That's how you build up a budget, and you get into maintaining the courts. It all costs money, you know. You got to buy a rake and stuff like that. But you know, it needs to come from a strong organization, and you can make one. Do it. That's what I say to you. Do it.
Yeah, we were talking, Hans.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, but I think this is like a really important subject, because, yeah, we talked about budget and what's the relationship between players, clubs, and federation. Like, okay, there's like a fee for becoming a member.
Yes.
There's also like, I don't know, maybe Pez can talk about this, because in Mexico, like the Mexican context, because we have like lots of bad habits in organization, but it's like really hard to have a budget because we are putting the money out of our pockets, and maybe it's the same in lots of places, but we are not getting this profit from tournaments or membership, or it's like a really important topic, and I don't know, we should maybe
when you get those profits, put it in the organization. That's the first and most important thing. Put it in your dream organization, how you think this should work. Again, find a template. You can look at the Spanish or the Catalan Federation, you know, how they're structured and whatnot, who has what jobs. Now they have a lot of jobs that you don't need. You can just cross them off the board. But you probably need jobs that they don't have. For sure you need jobs that they don't have because they're rich and you are not. So there is a difference between you and them. But you can set up the federation that you want, and then you put money towards that and make sure this is set up to promote the sport, to go and help out that. Not this is very, very important, you know, to set the seed in towns where we haven't been. And I can't stress it enough to put up those temporary courts at the fiesta. So we're exposed to the population. And then imagine you turn 100 people on the petanque. Then what do? You don't know. You need a phone number for them, or you need a website for them. And that website, that's the first job that federation has to do, is explain why they exist. They exist to promote the job of petanque. There's no other reason for that federation to exist. And now, how do you do that? And right there, you look to your parent organization on how to do it. You guys don't have that, but you can set it up. You know, that the money you take in from tournaments goes towards sponsorship of those that are less fortunate than you. You know, take, you know, let's say you have the San Luis Potosi Club. Let's say there's like 20 people in it or so. Go someplace where they never played before. Hold a tournament there. You know, wherever, when you have the San Luis Potosi Club, let's just stick by them. Ask the guy that lives farthest away, the guy that comes like 2-3 hours with a car or whatever. Go to his town. And that is where the money goes that you take in, you know, on those opens. You know, I hope you guys wake up and charge at least $100 a player there or something like that. They're very worth it. People will not come over the $100. They spend $1,000 on a friggin' plane ticket, for crying out loud. They spent that on dinner a night, you know. But there's some real money for you guys to be made, and then put it towards the federation and have the federation set up so when it does its job, when you go to your federation, say you did a good job, that means you got 1,000 new members 2 months ago. That's how we have to grow. Not, you know, it is not a success at the end of the year to say, you know, in a country of 400 million, oh, we got like 350 new members this year. That is not a success. That's failure. And why is that? You know, there's many answers to that question. I don't know them all, and I don't want to know them. But you guys don't have that. You can set it up so because you will learn by your mistakes. You will see, oh, you know, this don't work. You know, so then just whack that off. Nothing is written in stone. You have to reinvent petanque for Mexico in the 21st century. That is how you grow. Make it, you know, we touched a lot about it already, you know, get away from the alcohol. That's part of it too. Make orange juice, you know, find those kind of sponsors. Family products, you know, we want to be a family sport. We don't want to be that old male French sport that only produces champions and alcoholics. We want to be the sport that I can play with my grandmother. That's, you know, everything separates itself out anyway. You know, again, you start a club, there's always some people want to compete, some people want to socialize. We get back into that. But the organizational stuff, take the money you guys make, pool it together, and build yourself the federation you need. You get an umpire in every town. This is very important. And this starts not even before the umpire. The rule book, you know, that I told you, every Mexican player should have a rule book. It is to me unfathomable that you guys don't. How do you know what you're doing? You don't, you know. And then there's a lot of opinions floating out there, you know. Oh, this could be right. Like you told me, the guy was, when it touches the string, that ball is not out, you know. And that rule is clearly explained in the rule book. And the rule book, you can publish that for less than $1. But you need a, you know, every member, that everybody that talks to you becomes a member of the club right away. And the club charges, you don't have to charge a lot of money. You can do this for free almost. But the federation needs to get money. And that person needs to pay. Now, the federation, how much money? You live in a poor country. I do not know, you know, what is a number there? What is your target audience? Do you want to include all from the beggar to the millionaire? Then your fee got to be $0. You got to draw the line somewhere. But I always think, to me here in America, it's easily worth $100 a year membership in my federation. It's out of principle. Whether they do something for me or not is besides the point. But they should be doing something for me, and that should be costing money. And if somebody says to me $100 a year, that means I play Petanque for $8 a month. I play every day. What a bargain that is. I couldn't play baseball for that or anything like that. They would charge me a whole lot more. If I do swimming, oh God, you know, those fitness clubs, what are they? $50 a month or some stuff like that. Petanque is much, much cheaper. You know, so you need every player, and as they know they are a member when they get A, their license, and B, that rule book. They need to come in the same envelope. So everybody knows the same rules. This is just, you know, basic organizational stuff. And after that, you know, you think about, you know, because you're going to take in more money, you know. Mexico is popular to go to, you know, vacation. If you guys market yourself right, put some ideas in there, all those, you know, all the open tournaments. I call them open because you let foreigners in. You know, no foreigner can play in your national tournaments. You know, the national champion in Mexico, I cannot compete for that. Only you can, Enrique. You cannot compete here in America, you know, and become the American champion. I can. But that's, you know, that you need, again, the organization there's put out a calendar. You know, it's job number 1, explain why you exist. You know, job number 2, put out a calendar and, you know, internet presence and all that stuff. You guys got that down pretty good. You know, you're far more successful than us. But, you know, you're not with the rule book. They need to have that. Everybody needs, and in that rule book, don't be afraid to change stuff, you know, just because the French say, or, you know, you go probably by the Spanish translation.
A lot of people have read the rule book.
Yeah, the translation with, you know, is the root of all evil. There's this guy, Mike Pegg, in England. He translates it from French to English. So we live by Mike Pegg's interpretation of the rules here. But we don't want to talk about us here. Talk about Mexico. You know, they can go to the Catalan Federation, or they're probably more liberal. And you know, set yourself up that template there and get the rules and look at the rules. Don't necessarily adopt them because the Catalan Federation adopt them. Look at whether they make sense in Mexico. I do not know what makes sense in Mexico, but you guys do. And don't be afraid to change.
To grow Petanque,
but that needs to go out to everybody.
To grow Petanque, you can't bust on new people on the rules right away. The thing is, if you want someone to have fun with Petanque, you know, let's say it's someone's first time playing. Of course, you can go over the basic rules of how to play. But then if you're like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and, you know, you want to make sure people have a good time when they play Petanque. So the whole key of that is you kind of avoid the rules until they get into a point where they feel like they want to play competitively or more so socially. Then you can go over the rules. But if you're just starting out in Petanque, you don't need to know the rules other than the basic rules. You just have to have a good time. As far as the subject, as far as drinking, so there's a Petanque club.
Can, like, adjust the rules so people will like them. There's number one. And number two, that's not what we're talking about. The rule book, I want every Mexican player to have one so they know they belong to an organization. It's kind of like a contract, or however you want to call it. It's a service that the federation provides, because the federation is going to want money to exist. And for that, they have to provide a service. And number one is doling out the license and the rule book.
More than half the people in the Sonoma Club have never read a rule book. More than half of the
That's
players.
Right. Please don't get stuck. Let me call it the product kit. I'm talking the federation has to produce a product, and the rule book is a product. The license is a product. The federation wants money. If I give somebody money, you know what I want? I want a product. Once I get that product, a bond is there. That's what would happen with the Mexican Federation there. And now shut up about the rule book, kiddo. Really, this is not what this is about. This is how to set up an organization. If you have any input on that, please carry the conversation for a little while.
Well, Hans, yeah, we were talking about this the other day as well. And it was, I think, yeah, I understand what you say about the product. It's like, it's really important to have it. And I agree also in something that Wolfie says, that in the approach to Petanque, like the first moment, you also said like we should have some kind of brochure or like flyer, because when we get to play to public spaces, people come and ask, what is this? What are you doing? And you can give them the small flyer that explains the game, like in a very short way. But I think
you know, that flyer is only like how to play Petanque. I've seen it in many languages. It's only like 8 or 9 points long, and you know, one of them is stand up. It's really simple and easy. You know, you can whittle that down to 5, you know, pick the ball up, throw it, get close to the, you can look them up, you know, it's published worldwide. You need a flyer like that, yes. That's
also
a product
fun,
too,
like,
you know, there's a phone number at the bottom.
It would be fun, like, to design it. Like, I think about it, and it's like some kind of fun thing. I think we've been here for an hour and a half. So I want like to people, the remaining ones, like to participate or say, I don't know, if you want to say something, ask something, and get it like to participation. We can also put like the teaser if you want, like to take this to an individual experience. I don't know if someone wants to say something. ¿Alguien quiere decir algo de los que están aquí presentes? O una pregunta, un comentario, lo que sea.
I'll go on about the organizational one for a little bit too. You know.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep it there.
See, you know.
you don't need to dive into Brother Federation so much. The key thing of having this radio show,
but you know, the calendar, putting that out. And then Enrique, we talked about the ranking system. You know, ranking system needs to be established too. That's, you know, for the competitive player. Has, yes, nothing to do with turning somebody onto the game right away. Kiddo, you're absolutely right. The less they know about the rules, the better it is. We both know that.
And as far as
the whole subject is have fun, and that's
one of the most thriving Petanque scenes right now in all United States is in New York City, the Kurz Club. So the whole point of like getting away from alcohol and Petanque, that's not, you know, there's a Petanque club that started in Washington, called Port Townsend Petanque Alliance. And they started with 2 courts behind a bar. And that's how it got kicked off. So any way you can build Petanque, whether it's from the church or from a bar or from a school, it doesn't matter numbers is what you want. So if people want to drink and play petanque, let them. If that's what attracts people, then go for it, because those people that drink, by the time they grow up and quit drinking so much, maybe they have some kids and then they still play petanque and show them how to play. So the whole thing with get away from, drinking and, petanque, it goes hand in hand, just like a lot of the French, they have Ricard pastis every time they finish a tournament, So
yes,
a lot of times I've gotten some people from
we don't
too.
drink Ricard.
And also to deal with
there.
pressure,
We drink Budweiser.
a lot of people, they do drink to calm the nerves or whatever, the pressure, but it is inside your own head. Like when I played in the World Championships, and a lot of people were like, oh, it could be difficult having a big old crowd watching you or people watching you. But the whole key to pressure, whatnot, is putting in that practice and that time by yourself, and just don't focus on the crowd. Like when I played in the World Championships, and there were, when we played against France, there's over 300 people probably watching us. I did not look a single person in the face in the crowd. I did not look at one person in the eyes at all in the whole crowd. I kept all my attention, all my eyes onto the court and the goal at hand. So when you deal with pressure, going into a petanque, game or a certain throw, it could be 12-12. What I told myself, throwing was pretend I'm just playing in Sonoma on a Tuesday afternoon. Pretend you're playing in your backyard with your best friend when you have that pressure. And there's, you said something a few months ago. I think you sent the text to Barbara Consback, and it was right before the Rose City Open, I think, something like that. But you said you're not rewriting the book of theory, you're throwing balls into the dirt, and at the end of the day, in the big scale of things, you're throwing balls in the dirt, so
that's right.
You feel that pressure, you just got to realize there's way more to life when the game is over. So it's just the simple thing of not letting that pressure get to you. Have fun too. If you get all worked up, it's really good to, when you play petanque, to communicate with your teammates. I see a lot of people are quiet, they don't communicate with their teammates. They don't advise, what to do here and what to do there. And a lot of people are like, oh, don't tell me what to do, which is the worst thing. You're never going to grow as a player if you think you know it all already. I mean, I'm a pretty good player, but I'm open to any advice to any player that actually knows a thing or two, because that's how you grow. Like if you're in school and your professor says something, and then you learn something from your professor, but then your fellow classmate says something too, then you can learn something from your classmates and your teachers, So to progress as a petanque player, it's really key to talk about, like as far as strategy.
It's
so when a lot of people
sport,
yeah, but
I brought that up in the beginning. It's a team sport. You gotta make sure you know your teammates. You gotta make sure you communicate. Those are all key. It's a team sport.
Yeah,
it's not a single.
A lot of people say, "Oh, don't tell me to land here or land there." A lot of times, it's good to throw your gut feeling, what in your head and your heart, what tells you to throw. It's a lot of times to go with that, but also it's a lot of good times to just agree with your teammate and don't feel insulted when he says land here or the speed is like this or like that, because it really does help.
Yeah, it's valuable advice, kid. You see that on all good teams.
When you see those,
I think Sergio wants to say something. He raised his hand. So let's see what.
Well, thank you, Enrique, and hello, Hans and Wolf and everyone there. Really glad to be hearing you guys speaking and all the wisdom that you have about petanque. Just coming back from that point that we were talking about drinking habit and all that, I think there's a really big gap between a social player and a professional player, and that gap is filled with alcohol and drugs. So
Yeah.
once we pass all that biases, I think we can become a better player or a professional player. And also touching another point about the federation, I think also we're, as hard as it sounds, as even if it hurts us like Mexicans, I think we have a social players Mexican Federation of Petanque. We don't have a professional federation of Petanque, although we do have a hierarchy of we have a president, we have a secretary, and we have this guy who's supposed to get in charge of the money. But I think we're still like I don't know, as I say, like as a social players, because we cannot get together at one point and do what you advise us to do. That is grow as a Petanque players and make it public, not just on bars or with friends in our backyard, but in parks and squares.
In parks,
that would be
it. That's tough to get there, but in parks is where you need to play. You know, if a club, you will find out if you make a club, there will be all kinds of people in there. There will be social people in there. There will be competitive people in there. The club welcomes all. You know, you can shop for whatever reason. Once you have a club established, you know, you can start having leagues. Some of you guys do that already. I watched the final a week ago or so, and that, you know, separates out the competitiveness from the social player right there. It you can grow with both. You know, it is true what Wolfie says. You know, I would sum that up in that you should have fun playing petanque. You know, if that involves for some people drinking, so be it. But it doesn't have to be everybody. I stand by my words. We have to market ourselves as a family sport. Something that I would have no problem taking my 10-year-old daughter with me to play petanque where I play every day. That's the atmosphere that I want. You know, that's the one that we all want. You know, because then we grow. That is not possible in a bar. I'm just saying that. That's not possible in a bar. A bar is, you know, if I come to Mexico City, that's probably the first place I go and play. You know, at 8 o'clock at night when I'm bullshitting around. Yeah, I'm on my time, you know. But tournament Sunday, am I in a bar? No. Tournament Sunday, I'm at the courts and I'm as sober as I come. That's how it is, you know. There's two different sides to everything. We take all, you know. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah, I think it's like finding the right moment, like to well, not the right moment, like knowing where you're standing. Like, as you say, I'm fooling around with my friends. I wanna like play, have an afternoon playing, or I wanna, I don't know. I think that if it works for you, like taking a mezcal or a tequila, if it calms you, maybe you should do it. I don't know. I personally don't like to drink in tournaments. I don't drink till the end. And I think Wolfie was saying that, like, at the end of the tournament, if you're gonna celebrate or not, or maybe celebrate the champion, yeah, you go and grab a beer and a drink or anything. But if you wanna train and prepare as a player, you should decide how you wanna do it. But I personally prefer, I think it's a personal decision. But
when I was younger, I was drinking a lot and still winning. I think I was just blessed with good talent, you know. Nowadays, I do not drink no more. And that is just easier for me to then recall when I need to be there, when I need to apply myself. That at my age is impossible under the influence of alcohol. It's that simple. So, you know, yes, if people want to drink while they play, let them. I don't have to, you know. Again, we welcome all. But, you know, it's all the rules. Yeah, we don't need complicated rules. Like Wolfie says, there's only one rule in petanque. It's behave. That's all. You know, how treat others how you would want to be treated too. if it offends people that you drink a lot, well, drink around the corner or whatever, you know. It just common courtesy. That's all people need to be exposed to when they initially meet petanque. It doesn't take away from the rule book. They need that too. But so, you know, the alcohol, it's the alcohol. Yes, like he says, he's true. I've been to France. I played in French tournaments. Ricard, they foot the bill there. Everybody drinks it, but we are not like that. I would like to see Florida orange juice or Brazil orange juice or whatever to be a sponsor. I want, you know, a milk company to be a sponsor. And initially, you know, when you start out in the local club, who's going to sponsor you? The local plumber is going to sponsor you. The local electrician. Those are the people that are going to help. It's, you know, if the local bar sponsors you too, more power to them. But that's one profession out of many, you know, and we need to have a slice of life in our sport. And so, you know, alcohol being the prime sponsor, I'm no longer okay with that. It's not really the right image.
That's really important. Hans, I want to make a question to Wolfie. Wolfie, that you are playing in the American team. Tell us your experience. Something like you can share about the experience of playing in that level. No,
he's
gone.
Here?
He left. Wolfie,
he's there.
No. Or talk, Hans. It's Wolfie. Wolfie.
Hey.
Did you hear me? Sorry, I don't have cam. My computer is broken. I was asking you your experience about playing in the American team.
Oh, so I mean, the whole experience of playing when I played in Spain is I went into it, you know, in the United States, I'm one of the better players, you know, so I win from time to time, you know, and you know, I carry a certain confidence, but I was fully aware when I went to Spain that I was going to get my ass kicked, but I wasn't going to let that determine me having a good time or, you know, a bad time, whatever. I was going to have fun just being there, you know. So the whole point of, you know, playing petanque is you play to enjoy yourself regardless of the score, regardless if you win or lose. You know, when I played against France, we lost 0-13. It was over in 4 rounds. And you know, once they scored, there was one round, they pointed twice. They put both bulls, they pointed right at the cochonnet. And then they shot 4 times and hit 4 carreaux. So they played 6 perfect balls and got 5 points. And I just laughed, you know. Some people might get sad or like, oh, you know, but I laughed. I was like, there's nothing I can do to beat this, you know. And it's like that, you know, wherever you go and play petanque, there's always going to be someone better than you. But you just strive for that one moment, that one throw where it, you know, in the tonk teaser where you become like nothing in a sense. It's very true, you know, like when I was playing in Spain in the World Championships, a lot of times I tried to throw with a smile. Play petanque with a smile. A lot of people, you know, when someone you're playing your opponent and then it's a very serious game, and a lot of people, you know, let's say your opponent puts a really close ball in on the cochonnet, and then a lot of people walk towards the circle like they're scared, like, oh no, I have to shoot. But you know, the better way to approach the circle is you walk up to the circle with, you know, a bunch of huevos, you know, and like, hey, I'm going to hit this damn ball, you know, and whether you hit it or you don't, you know, but you have to attack the circle just like you're attacking the game. Don't walk into the circle like timid and like, oh no, I have to shoot and all like, you know, jittery and whatnot. Walk into it, you know, realizing you play this game because you enjoy it, you love it. Don't make it feel like a job or something like that, you know. So the whole experience playing in Spain, I had a great time. You know, whenever there was drama, and there wasn't really any, but you know, in Petanque there's always going to be something, and I just stayed away from it. You know, the whole point of playing Petanque is enjoying yourself, having a good time, like you're that little kid on the playground when you're 6, 7 years old, and whatever game you're playing, soccer or whatever it is, you're that kid on the field, you know, playing the game, and that's a good way process to think about Petanque, so you don't deal with that pressure of getting all jittery and whatnot. You know, you get excited to go to the circle and throw that next play. You get excited to play against France knowing you're going to get your ass kicked, but it is what it is, you know, and you just got to enjoy it, you know. So the whole experience playing in, you know, I went there, you know, being, you know, a top player for United States, but then when I was over there, I was just the average guy, and I knew that, you know. And so wherever you go, playing Petanque, whether it's a world championship or, you know, United States, Canada, Mexico, you always got to know there's someone probably going to be better than you, and that's okay. And you just have a good time, and you take the wins and you take the losses the same way. You know, just be happy that you're playing the game in the first place, regardless of the score or your opponent, you know. And it's really good to talk too, you know, of course, not when the other team is playing. Etiquette is a really big thing, you know. A lot of people don't know where to stand when someone is playing, you know, what you're supposed to stand behind or above the cochonnet and whatnot. You know, etiquette comes and goes wherever you go. But the whole point of playing Petanque is you just want to be proper and enjoy yourself, and then also communicate too. Communication is really key. If you're on a team and then you guys don't really chit chat all that much, which I get it, if you, I mean, have a big history and played with this person a long time, then you know, you don't need, because you know what each other is thinking. But then when you play on teams that you're not too familiar with, it's really good to use your full minute and then talk like, what is the goal here? A lot of people, they throw their Petanque ball and they don't set a goal. Like when I get in the circle, I look at a spot, like I'm going to land on this spot with that much spin, and, you know, right spin or left spin, whatnot. You know, I set goal for every throw. So it's like almost a game inside of a game is each throw. Like, do you win the game landing exactly where you wanted to throw in exactly how you wanted to throw? And then also part of it is it's like being an artist, you know, with a Picasso or Michelangelo or whatever. You know, painting a beautiful painting is just like Petanque too. Having good form. You know, don't look at Dylan Roche. His form is all over the place. You wouldn't want to copycat that guy, but he makes it work, you know, and everyone's their own player and they all throw their own way. But there's a, you know, how I got good at Petanque is I watched a good amount of Petanque on YouTube, and I watched how all the professionals threw the ball. And so I kind of copycatted what the professionals did. I'm like, okay, they throw it like that. I'm going to at least try to throw it like that, and then just do it enough times until it becomes comfortable to you. Like a lot of people tell me like, oh, I wish I knew how to throw a plombé. Well, everyone can learn it, and it's going to feel uncomfortable at the beginning, but that's when you become that little kid in the school, on the playground. You're throwing balls, and you just got to throw the ball with no fear. You know, you got to practice every single throw. Like a good Petanque player is like a good mechanic, you know. How many tools do you have in your tool bag, you know? And so in order to develop those skills, you really have to practice that. That's what it's hard for a lot of people, is it becomes uncomfortable for them to throw certain styles of throws. It's because they don't practice it, and you just have to do it anyways. You got to put in the work, you got to put in the time. And then the longer you play, you know, a lot of people will deal with pressure and, you know, how to throw the ball and then also how to enjoy the world. And never, it's never good to play the blame game too either. Like a lot of people I see sometimes, they lose a game and they're like, oh yeah, my teammate sucked. But then you got to ask yourself, well, did you play perfect? So like, sometimes I'll play a game and my teammate maybe didn't play so well and I played okay. And if we lost, I'm not mad at my teammate that didn't play well. I'm mad at myself because I played only okay. Like I'm my harshest critic. So you really strive for perfection out of yourself, as a player. And in order to get that, I mean, you have to be kind of hard on yourself, disciplined, but also, study, be a student, be that poet, be that artist of how to throw the ball, make it fluid, just let it fly out of your hands and not like jerky or twisty or whatnot, and then also confidence, and even if you have to fake the confidence, it's huge walking into the circle knowing you're going to hit that ball, or at least give it your damn best going for it, instead of walking to the circle like, ooh, like I'm all worked up, So that's what I tried to do in Spain, was just like play like I had this in the bag and I didn't feel much of any emotions. You hit a great shot, don't, act like you've done it before. Whenever you make a great play, act like you've done it before. Don't, like hoorah, high fives, whatnot. Part of being a professional. Yeah.
That's perfect. Thanks for all the insights and the
insights.
And well, so I think we're running out of time because, well, we can stay here, but I'm gonna end like the talk and the recording. But I wanted like to give like the word to anyone that wants to share their, like, in a very short time, like 2 minutes or something, their experience with Petanque. We did this teaser, I say it again, with Hans's experience going to the circle. And I think we identify with that moment, like every single of us, because it's like a ritual. You start thinking in stuff. You sometimes there are people that like take deep breaths, like 3 deep breaths, or close the eyes, or I don't know, like pray, or I don't know, anything. So if anyone wants to say something, just like to say goodbye. And of course, Hans, I give you the word if you wanna, like, if we need more time, we can do another session, another episode again, because I know I've been talking to Hans for the last 2 weeks, and it's been hours, so we can
half a page. We have 4 more pages.
Yeah. There's lots of time.
It's in the end, it's a beautiful sport. I'm happy we all got together here. This is progress in Petanque right here. If we keep this up, if we make this, weekly, monthly or so, but the interchange of ideas, the coordination of what everybody knows a little bit, nobody knows it all. But if we put ourselves together, we can make the sport grow much, much better than it has grown in the past for us. We all got the enthusiasm. We all have the time. Yes, we all spend our own money on this too. I countless times I've done that, but it's because I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that Petanque is a mass sport. It's a sport for everybody. And it's, it just given me fun all my playing career. I can not give enough back. To me, it is a religious experience. And I believe it is for many if you just simplify.
Okay, anyone else? I think Sergio wants to say something.
I was just trying to. I was gonna ask you, Wolfie. What about you're talking about how you were playing on the World Cup. What's your procedure or your kind of ritual, as Enrique was saying, before you get into the circle? Once you're gonna to throw a ball who is like, I don't know, to shoot a ball who's near to the cushioner.
You know, my procedure, you know, it changes from time to time as I've gotten, you know, older. You know, I mean, I sometimes, you know, like 4 or 5 years ago, I used to deal with a lot of anxiety and whatnot. So I do some really big, deep breaths. And, you know, I used to feel pressure a lot more when I first started playing kind of professionally 7 years ago. But the more I play, you know, somewhat semi-professional, the more I learn to relax and enjoy myself. And like, you know, what my dad sent a text to a friend, you're not writing the book of theory, you know, you're just throwing balls into the dirt. You know? So when I was playing in the World Cup, you know, I just tried to set my mind free of everything and just accomplish the goal I have in mind. I use my full minute until I'm ready to make that throw. A lot of people, you know, they can rush sometimes, and sometimes I rush too. You'll feel it when you really feel it, but the whole procedure of just going to the circle, you just got to do it with the ambiance, you know, of that confidence and aggression, but also like an artist, you know, like you're painting a painting and you're making that one stroke. You want to make it fluid, and to get to that, you just really have to be peaceful in your head. You know, you can't let, you know, if it's 12-12 or 0-0, you can't let that get a hold of you, whatever the score is. You never give up in Petanque. You never worry about the score. You know, I've won games in tournaments I was down 0-12, and that's because every throw is its new game, you know. So, yeah, my procedure playing in the World Cup was just to be relaxed and enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, maybe I don't know. We can say. I think it would be fun, like if everyone shares, like in short words. What do you think when you're standing? What do you say to yourself, like in 2 seconds when you're standing in the circle and there's like some situation like really hard? Me myself, I'm think like when I'm a shooter, it's always like in Spanish is la voy a sacar a la verga. It's really bad words. It's like I'm gonna shoot that thing out to hell, you know, like, but it's like self-motivation. It's like really wow.
I mean, I tell myself, come on, motherfucker, like, you know, let's like I'm telling myself like let's go, you know, like basically what the French, you know, when I played in the New York Open and Marco Foyot's playing the semifinal, and it's the last round of the game, and he has to come in with a point, and Marco Foyot walks up to the cochonnet, and then he says out loud to himself, "Allez, Marco," you know, he just like told himself like, "Let's go," you know, to himself. And I do that a lot myself, you know, whenever there's a tight situation, I'm like, all right, come on, cabron, like, let's fucking do this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess to me it's kind of the same. I sometimes talk to myself in third person, but most of the time it's when I had a shootout. To me, I think I'm thinking like I'm gonna beat these guys. I'm gonna kick their ass. So I had to shoot.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
A lot of times,
you know, I have that feeling for the whole game. I cannot look at them without thinking, which way am I gonna kill them? That's what I think about the opposition. I pray that they do not talk to me, because if they talk to me, I talk back, and I don't hold back then. But when I'm in the circle and I throw that is not their ball. For me, that's individual achievement. That's actually a piece of love that I'm doing there. When I hit that ball, I was all I could be. and it has nothing to do with the opponent. As soon as the ball is out of my hand, I look at them again, and yes, if I had a knife, I would stab them right now in the foot so they couldn't move. Then I hit them in the head with a petanque ball. All sorts
That's a little
of,
aggressive.
but you know, they are opponents during the game only. You know, after the game, I make and it's all good. But anyway, you know, that's just in general. You know, I don't fraternize with the opponent, not while I play. Because I think so low of them in general. Nowadays, I'm okay if I just think they don't exist. That's the best thought I can have about them. They do not exist. Unfortunately, they do. And unfortunately, they're troubled sometimes. But anyway, that's just the game.
I don't know if Patrick, Carlos, Fez, Natalia, Jaciel quieren decir algo. Do you want to say something? Or
well, yes, I would like to thank a lot. This was a very enriching talk, and I loved a lot of things about the experience you have, the experience Wolfie has on the World Championship. Also, what Hans talked about, this is a family game. No, I love playing with my son, and that has brought me to all those games and tournaments, and I think it's amazing. So, I think I'm very glad to know you guys and heard everything. I think this will help us a lot, no? Because I think many of the things you have said, maybe we have already lived them in different levels, but we have already lived them. But hearing from you, also give us strong thoughts and the confidence to continue going on in this game we love. So thank you very much to Adlai, Enrique, to organize this, and thank you, Hans, Wolfie, and everybody.
Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for saying.
Patrick, and what do you think in the circle when you want to throw? But you have 5 seconds in pause, because just stop the time. 5 or 30 seconds.
You get still for a lot of time, man. What are you thinking when you're like that?
Yeah. You know, I'm like someone that thinks too much the thing. So I'm like calculating which is the exact spot where the ball is going to fall, and then I'm like going through the process. Okay, I'm going to balance the ball like this, then give the swing and be sure that it will fall exactly to that place. So it's terrible, because I need to improve that process in order to make it more mechanic. But it's always like very rational process, and this is something I need to work on.
Patrick, I ask you because you take 20 or 30 seconds in the circle to do the throw. And
48 seconds to be exact. Last tournament, Pan American, I counted 48 seconds. Michelle and I, we counted it.
We need to take time in the circle. We need to take time. We have a minute.
Yeah, it's good I do both sometimes. Sometimes I play really fast, and that's when I'm really confident. If I'm having a good day petanque, I don't waste my time. I step in the circle and I throw right away, because I already know I'm hitting that ball before I even step in the circle. Other times when it's a really big, important shot, I'll take my time too, and I wait until that moment. And that moment will come to you when it feels right to throw, and you have a minute to find that moment. But when you get in the circle, sometimes, it's right away. Other times, I just wait until the moment finds me to throw. you know, and it'll tell you when is the right time that like it clicks in your head, that switch, and you flip that switch on, and that's the time to throw.
Yes, I'm talking about great throws, because Patrick takes 20, 30 seconds to throw, or maybe a minute, but all the time make a great throw.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, this guy take 16 seconds to throw, okay, because you having troubles, because Patrick was thinking a lot, because you need 10 seconds to decide, I want to put out this ball. You know, it's like 60 seconds or 10 seconds to decide. It's amazing. It's
yeah,
amazing.
It's a light switch.
Because you are desperate. You are still like, good, Patrick, throw. But when Patrick throws, you just have 5 seconds to identify you want to throw that ball, because have 5 centimeters, 2 inches to the caution it.
You know, I love about that.
I love it.
When the other team is, let me interrupt you there for a second. This works for me every time. When the other team is in the circle, most of the time I don't give a shit what they do. I have no influence over it. So yes. I tend to turn around and look at the landscape, or I tell a joke or something like that. A, it shows absolute disrespect to the opponent. Very, very valuable. And B, I have no influence over what they're doing, you know, so I stipulate they take a minute. That gives me a minute to enjoy life doing what I want to do at it. What they do in the circle, I could not care less. I guess if they had group sex, I'd take a picture, but that's about it.
I remember this moment at the last year tournament, no, this year tournament in León, Guanajuato. I was playing with Goldie and Memo, two Mexican players, and we lost in the tournament against Patrick, his son, Ian, and Esteban, that was here, but he left. And my analysis took me to, I was looking to him all the game, and to Ian and to Esteban, I was looking to their game. So we fell into their game. And that was like a big mistake. And I was like really mad about it, because I was like, you know how to play this. Why are you thinking in your
yes.
team?
Hello?
Turn on the microphone.
I stopped hearing Enrique.
I hear him.
Okay,
I'm at a bar. It's a little loud here. Sorry.
Yeah, I have an idea. I think that the personal games stay in the court, no? Let's think more about globally how we end this conversation. Like, how can make like a next appointment, like continue, no, like to be continue. What do you think, Hans? I think that you
yes,
you can give us
I've said that many times. Yes, I think consistency is the key. I think it is excellent. I don't know how much money that costs you guys. I'm willing to chip in a couple bucks. Keep this up once a week. It doesn't hurt at all. Once a month, whatever you can manage to do, but consistency, that more and more people join this forum, pay attention to what we say. That's consistency is very important here. Let this not be a one-time thing only. Those things we've had many of. We got to stick with it. And these talks here are as beneficial as anything that has happened in the English language today in Petanque worldwide, guaranteed. it's, however, you know, I feel the show should have been a little bit more in Spanish, actually, because you guys are the target audience. However, you know, that's just my private thought, you know. In all brothers, you know, it makes no difference. It was like Brandon says, Petanque knows no language. That's absolutely true. And we can grow together. We can establish, you know, we can try to get on TV together, guys, with a couple of tournaments in Mexico and a couple of tournaments in America. This is possible. The Opens could serve for that, you know, and do
I do suggest coming to the Wine Country Open for all the Mexican players. It's the biggest tournament in Sonoma every year. And the last time we had it, 2019, we had 60 teams. And we also had Damian Huro, Bruno Laborsico, and Tichon, a great player from Belgium, come. But it was just a great time. You know, it was the second most fun I've ever had at a tournament. The most fun I ever had at a tournament was Ensenada the last time I was there. And you guys had the DJ, and the DJ kept on saying, if you're having a bad day, if you're not playing petanque, just shake that ass, have a good time, shake that ass, you know. I don't know if you guys remember that, but yeah, there's the DJ there. It's not, I don't know who that guy was. I forget his name.
I think it was Andy's brother.
Yeah. He did a great job. I'd be playing. Yeah,
I remember you playing that in the tournament. It was good.
Yeah, you're playing a game of petanque, and then you got some guy on the microphone saying, shake that ass, you know. I mean, how does it get any better than that, you know?
And he was talking also about like psychology things, no? Like, what's the name of
Yeah, because he's a psychologist. So he was trying to cheer us up.
That's great. I mean, every big tournament that's like fun and social, you know, like, and you know, Ensenada it's the perfect tournament of the mixture of social players and competitive players, but they're all there to have a good time. The competitive and the social players, and the actual competitive players can block that out. You know, if they want to be serious, you're good enough, you know how to block out music and people talking and whatnot. You know, it's a beautiful thing to have a DJ and music going on, and then a live commentator. You know, that's a psychologist. That was great. Whoever thought of like, hey, let's get this guy golf clap to them. You know, that was a great thought. Let's get a psychologist on the microphone and be the DJ. That was tops, you know. That made the tournament in itself. And then having the little bar there and the little food. You know, I go and play in tournaments in Germany sometimes. And, you know, I played this one tournament, Travemünde, and it has about 500 teams. It's 2-day tournament, and both days there's about 500 teams. So it's, you know, about 1,500 players, triples and doubles, you know, one day doubles, other day triples. And it's like a little city, you know, all the petanque courts are huge, but they have like 5 food trucks. They got like 3 bars, and then everyone is just, you know, playing, having a good time. You play pickup games with the best players in Germany and whatnot. And that's what petanque is about, is traveling, meeting new people, putting on a good show and a good environment, you know. And the more that we do that as a whole world with petanque, the bigger the game will grow. It's just making sure people have a good time. And that's what it's about. Let the, you know, getting better and, you know, professional, that will come, because some people just want to be a social player. Some people don't have it in them to become a great player. It's just like that with every other sport. Some people play soccer. Yeah, some people play soccer just to have a good time or work out, you know, and then other people, you know, they play soccer and then they want to be Lionel Messi or, you know, Ronaldo or whatever. You know, it's just like that for petanque. Some kids, people are going to start playing petanque and they just want to have a good time. Other people are going to start playing and they want to be like Dylan Roche, you know?
Yeah, that's like some great.
Why you say the soccer? Yeah, but he said the soccer, you know, I was happy you told me, Enrique, about the America Soccer Club there. I think Petanque could benefit very, very, very from cross promotion from soccer. Because, you know, soccer, you get older, the bones start to hurt and that sort of shit, but you're not too old to throw a petanque ball. And see, there you have an established organization already. You know, where you could say, hey, do you guys want like a petanque division, you know, to any soccer club? This is what the big clubs in Europe are doing. Barcelona, you know, they have a petanque division. It's excellent there for cross promotion. How to get into, you know, more of society and soccer. See, that's a family sport. You go to a soccer game with your 10-year-old daughter. Same thing, you know, so that might be something for you guys to look into, you know, approach some soccer clubs and say, hey, look, you know, with this new up and coming sport, do you want the petanque division? It's, you know, the Iranian Federation, you know, they're just as small as you guys. They just hooked up with the billiard people, you know, the pool shooting people. There's fucking 5 million pool people out there. They hooked up with them, you know, this is a good.
Yeah. Well, I think we're coming to an end. Sorry to to be the bad guy here, but I think we as you were saying, Pez and Hans and everyone, we should keep doing this. This is like the first talk and like conversation. So let's plan it together. Let's invite us to tournaments in Mexico, in the States. Give us the information. We'll promote it, and let's like meet soon. I don't know. Ensenada is coming in May. I think your tournament in Sonoma is in April, right?
April, last weekend of April.
Okay,
1 month difference.
Maybe being close. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that would be.
I want to thank.
Let's stay in touch about that.
Yeah, of course. And I want to thank you, Hans, for all of these insights, advices. Also you, Wolfie, and everyone that was here. This has been an amazing night. It's been like amazing to talk to you guys, and I don't know.
It has been great.
Let's keep it. We're planning an agenda for January the next year. We want to keep it organic, like maybe once a month, then twice a month, then every single week. And let's look for doing it like daily. No, that's a joke.
Podcast.
Daily podcast. No, but let's keep working together. Let's keep working together. And many thanks for all the words, Hans.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, thank you, Enrique. Good seeing you, kiddo. Be safe out there on the ocean. Adley, Carlos, you know, everybody that was there. Thanks for my part. I'll turn my computer off now. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.